Card designs reveal the secrets of Lorcana's Inc. identity. But what does it all mean? Welcome to LorcanaCast.
And I won't stop until I start to stand out.
Greetings, Illumineers. My name is Sugi, and you're listening to LorcanaCast, the Premiere Lorcana Podcast. We are just a few weeks away from GenCon and the official launch of Disney's Lorcana trading card game. With excitement in the air and new cards flying all around the internet, we assembled a team of friends to sit down and discuss Lorcana. Not just Lorcana cards, but Lorcana's color identity and what we have learned about these 6 inks through playtesting, card designs, and networking with other Illumineers. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All right, everybody, we are here with LorcanaCast, and we are going to have a super amazing episode with a very, very diverse cast and crew. So we have got the Illumiteers, we've got BSquared, Citizens of Lorcana, and Stephanie from Lorcana Illumineers. So welcome to the show, everybody. How are y'all doing today?
Doing good.
Yeah, fantastic. Glad to be here.
Happy to be here.
Excited.
Okay, so we are going to have a lot of fun talking about GenCon, Lorcana, some of our favorite cards over the last couple weeks. But before we get started, let's just go down the row and see where can people find y'all, who are you, and what kind of content do you produce for Lorcana?
Awesome. So yeah, I'm Stephanie. You can find me at Lorcana Illumineers on all of the social media channels. And yeah, I post content on like kind of news and updates, and eventually we'll do some gameplay videos when we get cards, which are coming soon, and all that fun stuff.
And I'm Erin.
And I'm Liam.
And we're the Illumiteers.
And we focus on all aspects of Lorcana, but particularly on art, the design of the game, and the creative process behind it.
And you can find us on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
And Twitter.
At Illumiteers, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram.
And my name is Jared Hymas. I am Citizens of Lorcana. I run the Citizens of Lorcana account on Twitter. And myself and my co-host, James Riley, run the Citizens of Lorcana podcast. And I make memes.
And my name is Brandon, also known as BSquared. I try to cover most things Lorcana related on YouTube, where you can just find me at BSquared. I also am on the Twitters, and you can find me at BSquared24YT. I also make memes sometimes, but Jared's are usually funnier.
Jared's been on that flounder kick for a while. Do we need to buy you some sushi at GenCon? Just get that fish out of your system.
Oh, no.
I know. I've been told that I may have taken it a little too far by this point, but I don't know. The opportunities keep presenting themselves. It's hard to pass up.
If you keep doing it, it becomes funny again.
But is he telling us that he needs fish in his life? He needs more protein from the sea? Is this a cry for help?
I'm not a huge fish fan, believe it or not. I don't mind fish, but sushi, no.
Fish are friends, not food.
That's right. Thank you, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
Oh, man. Ouch. I guess I'm in the minority here because I live and breathe by sushi.
I mean, I love me some sushi, but
when you are a floundling, this is the way.
This is the way.
Is that what you guys are called now?
Oh boy, the floundling. Now you have to go and like mess with the Star Wars Unlimited people and put like a helmet on Flounder and put his face on different cards.
Just start infiltrating other card games.
Yeah. Go attack the My Hero Academia community with Flounders and be like, what is that? What are those?
You're just trying to get me out of Lorcana meme making, aren't you?
I didn't say. Oh, you could do both. Can you multitask? You should be able to.
I'm a guy, Sugi.
I'm just a kid.
I am intrigued though when you mentioned Flounder's possible Floodborne form. Who knows if that's ever going to happen? But I was like, oh, what would Flounder be?
If you give arms, I'm going to quit.
Gyarados.
I'm just
imagining a whale.
He's a Gyarados.
I was imagining on SpongeBob the guys that are bouncers at the bar. That's what I was imagining.
Very nice. Very nice.
That's great.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Well, this is basically going to be some of the stuff people are going to be hearing over the next couple weeks because we've got GenCon right around the corner. So at the time of this recording, and then when it releases, we're going to be about 2 weeks away, give or take 6 or 7 business
Oh
days
my gosh.
until
What?
we are going to be partying in Indianapolis. So who is excited?
Me.
Oh my gosh. Everybody?
Excited, nervous. Hope I'm ready.
Let's
still-
do it now.
Liam bought camping stools to be prepared
Yes!
and wait.
Oh,
wait,
am I going to be the only one without a camping stool?
I got a
I
stool
don't
too.
have a camping stool. No,
I do not.
I stand for work like 8 to 10 hours a day, so this is like a regular day for me. No stool needed.
Very nice.
I'm just a young buck, so I'm just going to stand.
I got no stools.
If you're smart, you just sit on other people
That's
Sure
what
they
I
would.
said
or
initially.
the ground.
I said, why would I buy a stool when I can just sit on somebody's lap that has a stool, right?
Yeah, there you go. Problem solved.
That's fair.
Jared will help you out.
We'll see. Depends on
He's
how
the
many
citizens
flounders
of
you
Lorcana.
bring me.
Uh,
If you commit to play Magic Mirror in one of your decks, I will let you sit on my lap.
I don't know about that. We'll
How
see
would
how
you feel if
desperate I
brought
get.
you an actual flounder? Would you be like offended or pleased?
I probably wouldn't know what to do with that. Be honest.
I would just literally I would deliver a live fish on a card and be like, here's your flounder card that you asked for. You didn't specify Lorcana flounder card. You just said a flounder card. I was like, I can do that. All right. So GenCon right around the corner. It's going to be super exciting. What have you done to prepare, or what tip would you give to our listeners who are still in that safe zone of you can place an Amazon Prime order, you can go to the store, you've got one last round before you're really going to be hitting either the road or flying. So this is like, last chance to get, X, Y, or Z that you would recommend.
I recently just bought a water bottle with a filter straw because I'm from the Midwest and sometimes Midwest water is weird in water fountains and they taste bad. And someone actually recommended, they're like, you should get a water bottle with the filter straw because water tastes weird in the convention center. And I was like, all right, done. So I just put that order in today. So we'll see if it tastes weird or not. I have no idea. It's my first time going.
I have something that might help you for my tip.
Okay. What is that?
We're ready
Oh,
for it.
I was going to go later.
Waiting.
Everyone's waiting. So my tip is I've got some electrolyte packets and some electrolyte discs that melt in your water. So they're all lime flavored.
That's fair.
So there's going to be a combination of staying hydrated, but if you're drinking a lot of water, you also need electrolytes in your system.
Yep.
So you probably don't want to drink 5 or 6 body armors because that's going to be like
Ugh.
8,000% sugar.
Yeah.
So Target and Amazon have a bunch of electrolyte packets that don't cost very much, and they're like 1 gram of sugar. So you can keep those electrolytes high, but not like crash your body out with just an insane amount of sugar. And theoretically, if the water does taste funny, I drink tap water, so I don't care. But if it were to taste funny, the lemon lime, there's tons of flavors, but these should help kind of mask that. So your water tastes decent and you're giving your body the nourishment it needs to stay hydrated because you're going to be sweating a lot, like a lot.
Oh, yes. I actually have some. So I am already prepared for that. But sometimes I just need water and not extra flavoring. So.
Yeah.
But yes, good point on the electrolytes. Because, yeah, when you sweat in the Midwest, it comes down hard.
Add to cart.
Was going to say, so I think we were on a podcast with you a couple weeks ago and you were chatting about your, your battery charger or like your phone charger that you have on your backpack. And I did Amazon Prime that night for Liam to have. So he now has one of the souped up phone
The
chargers.
Anchor battery chargers, yeah, those are
Yes.
great.
Very good. Those are
Because-
necessary.
As Jared might know, his phone kept dying at
Oh, damn.
That is true.
Everybody
kept
keeps
having
making fun of my
disappear.
phone.
No, I kept having to disappear from Jared and the group at Gamma to like find an outlet and sit for 5 minutes and get just enough juice to stream for another few minutes. It was it's intense.
So anyway, now he has a charger for his
Good.
backpack.
That's a solid item.
Another surprise add-on to that, depending on what you're doing. So if you're just charging your phone, any charging cable will be fine. But if you're going to be streaming or doing content, pony up for the like $10 8 to 10 foot cable. So that way you can have the charger in a bag, in a pocket, somewhere on your person while charging your gear at the same time. Because it's really rough when you're trying to do some kind of content and your phone battery is really low and you only have a 3-foot cable, which means like you have to use 2 hands to carry your phone plus the charger and your light or gear or water bottle. It just gets really complicated. So get a really long cable. That way you can easily charge, use your gear, and be mobile. And that cable costs literally nothing.
Good tip.
All right, let's pass it along to citizens of Lorcana. What is your tip to prepare for the GenCon experience?
This is my first real convention attending, so I don't know if I'm the best to be giving advice, but I'm going to steal one from a convention veteran that I heard on another podcast from Eric Switzer, and he recommended taking hand sanitizer because the convention crud is real. I don't know if Liam did, but after Gamma, I definitely came down with something and it took me a long time to recover from it. So bringing some hand sanitizer to keep those hands clean.
Yeah, I definitely needed some recovery time as well. I think part of the problem was I slept like 4 hours over 3 days. So might have had something to do with it.
That was like an immune system crash, yeah.
Get ready for 4 hours over 6 days.
Yep.
Yeah, so speaking of immune system things, actually today bought some of those like immunity tablet
Ooh, very
things
nice.
to bring with me to Gen Con, and I'm just going to pop a couple each day. And it's like, I know I'm not getting any sleep, so my immune system needs all the help it can get.
Is that the like emergency brand?
Yeah.
Well, it's not that brand. It's, I don't know. I think there was one called like Airborne, but all of the packages were open.
Yeah, Airborne. Yeah.
That's
So
a
I
good one.
just got like the generic brand of it, but it's all the same. I looked at the ingredients and stuff.
Yes.
Nice.
Also, something that has electrolytes in it that you can put in.
That
your
is true.
Yes.
That is true. Double whammy, extra vitamins and electrolytes.
I guarantee you, people listening, even some of us, we're gonna forget to stay hydrated. Like it just happens.
Yeah.
So keep that water bottle close, everybody. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about Gen Con. What are you excited about? What are your expectations? Obviously, we're going to go because Lorcana will be there. Other fans, other players will be there. But what are some of the things you're excited to do? And it may or may not necessarily be Lorcana related. Like I'm personally excited to see finally, after years of reading about it, that card holla where you can build like a giant, tower of cards using trading cards that are in boxes. And I think that's just such a cool thing to do as a nerd and a trading card game player is, be a part of one of those somewhere in the history of Gen Con.
That sounds awesome. I didn't hear about that.
I'm personally just like super excited to finally meet everybody in the community. It like over the past couple months, I spent a lot of time in the Discord, and so I've gotten to know a bunch of people really well. And I never imagined having internet friends, as I like to tell everybody else in my life. And to be able to meet everybody for the first time, it just, I don't know. I feel like it'll be like a giant family reunion, and there's going to be like dozens of us there all together at one time. And I can only imagine it's going to be super fun. So yeah, that's probably the thing I'm looking forward to the most, honestly, is just seeing everybody actually getting to talk face to face.
I agree with both of the prior recommendations, so I'm going to go with another one. It's funny that you mentioned the My Hero community, Sugi, because I used to play that before Lorcana. And I just saw that they dropped their alt art promo cards that are going to be at Gen Con, and now it's a must visit for me to go to their booth to snag some of those cards.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome. I'm happy to snag one for you if you want an extra. Just let me know where the booth is.
if you're volunteering, I think it was 2319, but I'll have to get back to you on that.
2319.
Wait, hold on. Is that a Disney joke or the actual price?
No, the booth number.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
That's amazing.
That is two in line with certain. Yeah, 2319. Oh my gosh. I was like, wait, are you kidding? Something's wrong here. My Disney senses are tingling.
We have a 2319.
Not again.
That was amazing.
Jared's gonna come back from that booth like totally bald.
Yeah, he's gonna be totally shaved. Yeah. He's gonna have like a collar on with a little band-aid.
I must have missed something.
This is a Monsters Inc.
Monsters
show.
Inc.
Oh, okay. Yep. I was kind of distracted. I was looking up the booth number is 2319. So
Perfect.
My memory serves correct.
Yes. And for those listening, 2319 is the code in Monsters Inc. for a child
Getting into the
emergency.
monster world.
Yeah. And so the
Infiltration.
the CDC or the Child Protective Services, or whatever it's called there, infiltrate and destroy, and you have to strip
They
you
put-
and
They put the cone of shame on you.
cone of shame,
Yeah.
all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So good. So good.
No, for me, kind of echoing, what I think everybody said so far, that the community is probably what I'm most excited for. I've actually had the chance to meet both Jared here and Stephanie in person, and interacted with Brandon quite a bit. We're both Austin FC fans, and just getting to know everybody, meet everybody, has been the highlight, I think, of our content creation career so far. So that's going to be super fun. The only other thing that rises to the top for me is my Saturday session learning a K-pop dance, which I'm super excited for. So we'll see if I'm awake enough for it at that point. But
Elaborate, please. Did you pay for this?
Oh, it's like $5 or something. But yeah, you go, and I'm a terrible dancer, so it's going to be awful. But God, I love the music. So
You have to live stream this, Liam. That's what this extra battery bank is for.
We need the video.
Worst case
we're the
scenario, I
same
told my brother he had
Saturday.
to take photos.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, we're in the same morning pod, so I guess I could just follow him and stream it.
Please do.
That would be hilarious.
there's for anybody who hasn't been to GenCon or read about it before, the number and variety of events you can go to is just staggering. We all, can imagine the different game events, from, role-playing sessions to learn to plays, meeting different game companies. But then also there's things like there's a session on the war in Ukraine and what that means, for the rest of the century by, I think, a retired general. There's a K-pop dance session. There's a tour of Indianapolis. So, beyond just what you think of as GenCon, standard content, there's so much more to do if you want to branch outside gaming.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really
there's
cool.
some cool historical, I wouldn't say classes, but they go over the history of the game you're playing and the things that actually happen. And it's like, oh man, that's so cool. They're teaching people historical things. Yes. That's what I studied before I went into TV and film. So anytime there's historical anything, it's just yes, my heart feels so good.
Yeah, to actually to piggyback on that, I know since I'm not able to go, I will mention what my brother I think is the most excited about. So he's and he is going to be Liam's partner that weekend. He is a high school history teacher, and there is a session on how to incorporate games and board games into the educational space, and specifically teaching history through playing various board games. So I think he and Liam are going to that session at some point.
Awesome.
So it's just that's a really cool opportunity for a high school history teacher to get to go to.
That's awesome.
It's such a versatile tool because it challenges people to think, and they're learning while they don't think they're learning. It's great. It's a really good misdirect. It's I'm having fun and I'm learning. What? Oh, good old sneaky board games.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think what everyone said, I'm super excited to meet up with the community. And I'm very excited to wait in line early Thursday morning with a bunch of people.
For
For
your stools.
I do not have a stool, but yes, maybe I'll borrow Jared.
Just sit on Jared. He is the citizens of Lorcana. He holds the citizens on his shoulder. His lap is strong.
My stool is
Stephanie,
only
did
big
you
enough
say-
for one.
Did you say that you were going to just borrow Jared generally?
No, I'll borrow Jared's stool.
Okay.
Not Jared himself. Please, Jared.
You're just going to be sitting on Jared's shoulders.
I can see all the Lorcana product from this height. Yeah,
We're going to play games of chicken.
yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Exactly.
no.
Now that sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
Let us know when the beacons of Gondor have been lit.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah, I think that'll be a memory etched in stone in Lorcana. Just all of us waiting to buy product, the first time it's on the market. And so I'm very much looking forward to that. Another thing I'm looking forward to is there is a free Magic Lord of the Rings event.
Yeah.
And in prep for that, I actually went to a pre-release event at my LGS to kind of see how inclusive like TCG World is, since I haven't played in like 15, 20 years competitively, and B, to kind of prep for that. And I literally read the Magic rules right before I went to this pre-release event, and I was like, man, I hope I don't make a fool of myself, because these are way more complicated than Lorcana. And coming away from it, I'm like, Lorcana is such an easy game for anyone to jump into. Like, after I went through the Magic thing, I actually won a game and I won some booster packs because of it. So I was proud of myself. But like, that kind of made me like, and I was like the one woman in like a room of like 70 men. And so like coming out of that and like, wow, Lorcana is like poised to be like very inclusive, A, because it's easy to learn, and then B, because it's going to pull in a lot of people, and everyone has said this, like, this is not a new thing, but a lot of people who have never been to the TCG world and are relating to these Disney characters they grew up with. So I'm very excited just to kind of see the impact that has on local game stores and bringing new people in that may have not been interested before. So yeah,
amen, sister.
about that. Very excited about that.
That's something I've loved to see just in the community in general. Like, I've been blown away by the amount of people that I've talked to that have been like, oh yeah, I'm just a Disney fan. Like, I don't know anything about trading card games. And it's like half of my friends and people that I talk to daily are people that fall into that category. And I think that's awesome.
That's super cool. Yeah.
All right. So now that we've talked about our tips for Gen Con, we actually have a very special announcement for all of our listeners. And I'm going to kick it over to Brandon from BSquared to let everybody know what we're going to be doing at Gen Con with our Lorcana community.
Hey, yeah. So anybody that wants to meet up with the rest of the community, we're going to try to host an event on Thursday evening, starting at 6:00. Right now, the goal is to meet in front of the Lucas Oil Stadium. There's a statue that's in front of there. And then once we all meet up at the statue, we will go to the destination, in which we will basically just jam a bunch of Lorcana games, hang out, eat some food. If you want to stay updated on the announcements and hear exactly when things get fleshed out, I highly recommend you join the Disney Lorcana HQ Discord, because announcements will be made there. And if you have any questions, I'm a moderator there. We're very easy to get a hold of. And so we're happy to answer any questions. But yeah, plan for Thursday at 6. Hopefully it'll be about 4 hours long, from 6 to 10. We'd love to see everybody there, just to meet everybody. And like I said, jam some games and have some fun.
So who here is going to be making that? Everyone here is going to be there, right? With Flounders for Jared?
That's right.
Flounders.
All the
That's
Flounders.
I will trade you my cold foil Flounder for any cold foil Olafs you might have.
That would be a deal I'm willing to make.
Oh, okay. Okay. Very spicy. All right. Well, then let's move along to the meat and potatoes of this episode. And as you might expect, a lot of content creators, including some of ourselves, are talking about Lorcana cards. We just had a huge reveal from Germany. We've had a bunch of cards being revealed through the Lorcana HQ Discord, over Twitter, over just so many different facets. So instead of trying to talk about all of them and all the details, and with so many people on the show, it would just take forever, we're actually going to deviate a little bit and do something different. And we're going to talk about the color identities of Lorcana. And we're going to have some fun, because with so many cards having been revealed, we don't necessarily have the entire picture of what Sapphire or Amber should look like. But I believe that we've got enough cards available that we can start to really hammer out what we expect the decks to look like, some of the cards that we think will be staples, and some of the more interesting color combinations between X color and Y color. So that's what we're going to be talking about, is Lorcana color identities, and some of our hopes, some of our dreams, some of our excitements, maybe some of our fears. We'll get there as we go through. So the first color I want to talk about is actually going to be Sapphire, the blue color. And who wants to lead off on this one? I know there's a lot of cool cards in this color pie, and we just saw a really cool Maleficent. We've got items, we've got princesses. There's a lot of fun stuff to play around with here.
I'll take the charge on this one. When the D23 set was first announced, or those were all the cards we had for a long time, and I loved Robin Hood, and I told myself I was going to try to make Sapphire happen. So I've been digging Sapphire for a while now, and like you say, there are certain themes with it. the most obvious theme, I think, is the ramping ability with One Jump Ahead and Detective Mickey. But also, as you pointed out, they have princesses, and it should also be an item slinger deck with Belle and Maurice synergizing with items. I think that it's just going to be, I don't know. It's hard to say. The general consensus right now seems to be that Sapphire is one of the weakest. But again, not all the cards are out, so it's hard to rank inks right now. But what it does tell us is that maybe the full identity of Sapphire hasn't been revealed yet. So I've been pairing it with Steel, and it's just been a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I was not sold on Sapphire until the Maleficent dropped from Berlin this weekend.
Oh, it's
and
so
then
beautiful.
I was like, okay, A, that art, is what on earth? Where did that come from? And then B, 3 lore, 6 willpower. And I was like, okay, I have to look at Sapphire a little more deeply now because that is insane. So that's all. you were waiting for something else.
No, I've been playing with that new Maleficent from Berlin, and she is a tough cookie for people to deal with. I mean, she is a huge addition for Sapphire. I mean, 5 ink and the 6 strength, the 6 willpower is it's a big body, and that 3 lore basically means that the opponent has to answer that card in some form or fashion.
Right away.
So
Yeah.
she's been a solid addition.
I was even playing with the Triton, the Sea King card. I haven't played with the Berlin Maleficent yet, but it was kind of the same thing.
9 willpower.
Yeah, like Triton. And he's much more expensive, but like with the ramp package, that 9 willpower and like 2 lore is okay. You're happy with that. It's like you throw him on board and the opponent just doesn't know what to do. They're like wasting a bunch of resources trying to get rid of him, or he makes for a great challenger if you're needing to catch back up and take out things on your opponent's side of the board. I'm actually kind of excited to see in Lorcana certain cards that would be considered vanilla cards, at least in the first chapter, like looking pretty viable and pretty good overall.
Yeah, the Maleficent was an interesting drop, right? Because it up until this point, it didn't seem like that's what Blue was trying to do. Blue is very technical, using items and manipulating the board a little bit, using ward to kind of protect what you had. And it seemed to be a very kind of control-y color, like a paste color. And then to see like this heavy lore quester at the top end felt more like, I don't know, steel or ruby. So it's fascinating to see how Blue's going to develop. Because, I'm just really not sure what exactly it's trying to do other than item synergy right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the cards we have, it has some of the most 2 lore characters at the low end. So you've got 2-drop Aurora, 3-drop Belle, 3-drop Jasmine. You've got
Flounder
4-drop
one.
Maleficent. Oh, Flounder, that
That rascal.
but I mean, if you look at all their cards, like Aurora at 5 is 2 pips, Robin Hood at 6 is 2 pips, Scar at 6 is 2 pips, Triton at 7 is 2 pips. They're Donald at 5 is 2 pips. They're just really high on lore batteries, just stock, and that's not accounting for the ramp package, the removal package, the healing and coconuts, the item combinations.
Yep.
Like I think I agree. I think it's going to be a very technical color because their bodies are weak, but their ability to quest is like abysmally higher than most everybody else on average.
Yep.
Yeah, it is interesting. I do think, when you look at some of the stuff Blue is trying to do, it kind of does. There are cards that do what other colors are trying to do. Coconuts is a fascinating example because I think you're going to see most of the healing damage removal happen in Amber. And so it's really fun to see Coconut Basket as an item do what Amber does, because it leans into this flavor of Sapphire, where Sapphire Glimmers use their brains, use their smarts, as it were, to get the job done. And so you can imagine these characters kind of creating inventions in order to do what they're bad at, but what other colors are good at. So I think from an item and an inventive and a technical perspective, like it from a flavor perspective, it'll be fun to see how the color leans into that theme. I don't know.
So let's talk about Sapphire or blue in combination with other colors. And we're not looking at this from like a meta perspective because there just isn't one. There's none of cards, and we really don't know what necessarily is, what power level. But for you, the person who's thinking about this, we want to talk about the fun of Lorcana and the things that we love. So for example, what do you think you would want to play blue with the most? So for me, it's going to be purple or amethyst because you have really, really good quest numbers. Like your lore batteries are really great. They're really efficient. You have a constant stream of tools. And then you have draw in amethyst. You have removal in blue. You've got, you can either go for an item package, a ramp package. You could go for princesses and villains. Like there's a lot of different pathways you can take, but I think the purple and blue color pie is just really fun. I don't know if it's necessarily the most competitive thing you'll ever see, but it's so versatile. And the lore values are insanely high between those two colors. So you could basically just slap and tap anything and your opponent they have to do something to stop you.
Yeah, I think with Amber right now, I think that has the 3 items and everything else has either 1 or 2. And so just by the mere fact that Amber has 3, and hopefully we'll see more in Sapphire itself. Amber's been fun to play with Sapphire from my perspective. Plus all the princesses, if you get Moana right and then running the princess plus the item package is super fun as well. So I echo your sentiment on those colors for sure.
I've been enjoying playing Sapphire with Steel, as I said earlier, mostly with the removal package. There's nothing more satisfying than ramping up to a Tinkerbell and hitting them with the 1 damage and then getting them with, the next turn with grab your sword. And basically melts their whole board state away at that point. And then it's hard for them to catch up at that point. So it's just, I don't know, when that Tinkerbell hits the table and just wipes out their board, it's so satisfying.
Yeah, I also like Sapphire with Steel only because Steel is top heavy, and I think it's designed to be top heavy with big bodies. Gantu way on the top end. But you have Bodyguard Mickey Mouse and other things there, and the ramp in Sapphire kind of lends itself to towards trying to ramp to those big game finishers. So I kind of like that.
So I have actually really enjoyed playing Sapphire and Ruby, mainly because I love I love ramping, and I love just like getting to the big stuff and then putting it on the board and doing it before you can. And Ruby's full of all the like scary evasive things, especially the Mickey Mouse. They've got the Aladdin Heroic Outlaw, which is really scary when he's on board as well. And so I've just really enjoyed just ramping up kind of as quickly as I can and then slapping those evasives down. And you kind of have support from Aurora as well if you run her. So like you can put your evasives down and then you can give all of them ward. And then it's like, now what are you going to do? And like if you can actually pull that off and not get run over before then, it's really, really fun to just have a bunch of evasive units on board and have more ink than your opponent does and just basically quest every turn and see or watch them try really hard to have the heart of the cards and draw whatever they need to actually take care of your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, BLT Mickey is a win con, right? Like you drop him on the board and that's usually game. So I mean that's a great point. I mean, the whole deck built towards ramping toward to BLT Mickey is
that's solid.
Probably,
yep.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move along to our next color of choice, and that is going to be amber. So this is a color that centralizes around songs. You've got bodyguards, you've got healing. There is a musketeer tribal deck. There's a lot going on in these colors, and let's see what you guys have to think about that.
It's the best color.
Tell me more, Liam.
It's the best color. Here's what I love about amber. I mean, so one, I do love the song synergy that we've seen appear in just the last few days. Songs are a mechanic that is unique to Lorcana, or at least it hasn't been done very much before, and it's kind of what sets it apart from a gameplay perspective, and then from a Disney flavor perspective. So to see this color lean into it with the singer mechanic, with the card draw from Ursula's necklace, it's so good. But for me, honestly, Aaron and I are big into the flavor of the game as well, and the art. And what I love about Amber cards is it's where you see the ink identity present itself in the artwork the most clearly, through the interwoven lines and patterns. And so with every Amber card, it is so fun, doing a quick search and figuring out where the artist has presented Amber ink. And I just love it so much. It's my favorite color.
Yeah, from a pure art perspective, I think this color has like the majority of my favorite art cards in it. So it's beautifully presented. And yeah, as Liam said, I think it really embodies the flavor of Amber just really, really well. This whole like friendship and working together and cards playing off of each other is really cool to see and cool to play with in Amber.
Amber has Stitch, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, Ohana.
Enough said. Enough said.
A very powerful take from BSquared. You can find him on YouTube, and he's a moderator on the Lorcana HQ Discord. Thank you so much, Brandon.
Well, so yeah, I think we're done. I mean, I think after that we're done here, right? Like that's all that really needed to be said.
Oh no! Amber has got toys. So if you think that Sapphire is flexible, Amber has got tools, and they've got tools in spades. Do you want to heal things? You could do that. Do you want to discount things? You can do that. Do you want to support your teammates? You can do that. Do you want to shift? You can do that. Do you want to play heroes or villains or princesses? You can do that. Do you want to reanimate? So on and so forth. You could dig. You could dig through your deck. Like there's so many different lines of play. So I feel like Amber could very well be the toolbox color of Lorcana, because other than aggro, like challenging aggro, they've got pretty much all the things you could want. There's definitely lore rush, control, reanimator. In my brain, shifting is essentially flash from Magic. So you can flash in a Stitch, you can flash in a Hades and do some really cool stuff, and your opponent's like, oh, whoops, I didn't see that coming. I didn't prepare for it. You've got Ariel and Sebastian who can cheat songs. You've got draw power with singing. Like, there's so many options here. I feel like Amber is probably going to be the most splashable color in Lorcana decks just due to versatility.
I've got to agree with you on that, Sugi. Like so far in the testing that I've done, Amber just seems like, I always think of it in my head as like the support color almost, because if I try to build something centric around Amber, unless it is specifically like questing aggro with Rockstar Stitch, they don't have, like, there's just so much that you can do. And I find it lacking in like challenging stuff. Like just most of the characters we see so far don't have amazing stats to trade with a bunch of things, but like pretty much anything you do need in your deck to help you support, or to give you a little bit of support, they have. Because I mean, they've got lots of cool draw options. Now that I think the new singer keyword is really cool to be able to dig through your deck and find songs and sing them more efficiently. They've got they've got Hey with support. Maximus gets rid of attacking to help you with trades. You know, they've got reanimation.
Prince like help solve that problem a little bit too, though.
Yeah. We had the Prince Philip thing revealed too, with getting rid of things when he is banished when challenging.
Touch, yeah.
And so it's definitely coming off to me as like a support color, which I think is really cool.
I will say this. I ran into a Hades recursion deck the other day. And when that's pulled off correctly, that is a scary deck.
Yeah, that's on my list of things to do to people, because I like blue, black, and Magic, and I have a really nasty recursion zombie deck, and it's just so much fun to go, oh, you killed that, but you didn't. What? It's back, baby.
Well, in that Hades, once you start packing villains on that side of the board, it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And you have access to part of your world too. So you have a 3-drop recursion, and you have a 4-drop recursion on a body with Hades. It's just so good.
Well, and partnering it with Steel, where you can rummage or filter and discard cards to bring back, and also get that Steel removal is really cool too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a great segue. Let's talk about colors that pair well with Amber. There's so many different possibilities and themes. So what are some of y'all's favorites?
I just love the Amber Amethyst Stitch Rockstar Go Wide Weenie deck, just because I think it's fun to imagine Stitch and all of his fans. And I've also found like Amethyst as a color can do kind of well in a mid-range area as well. If you play like Mickey and Brooms, and it's like I've played both a really aggressive trying to win super early aggro Amethyst Amber deck with Stitch, but I've also played one that's a little bit slower that pushes me closer towards the Stitch Carefree Surfer at the top end. And like you said, with the recursion, with Hades, being able to bring back the characters that you're using to challenge and control the board. Not to mention with Amber Amethyst, there's mainly the villain package with Hades. A lot of the villains are in Amethyst as well, and that's a super fun deck to play if you can actually get it to go off. So that's personally my favorite with Amber, I think.
There is a reason those two colors are a starter deck, because they have good synergy.
Yeah, I actually think I agree with Brandon. I think that's probably my favorite pairing, but I do also like Amber with Steel. I do think one of the things you're missing in Amber is some removal, and Steel gives you a bit of that, decent amount of that. But then also for recursion, if you're, filtering with Tinkerbell or other cards, and drawing a card and discarding a card, if you've got that recursion, you're essentially drawing two cards, especially if you're drawing towards a very specific finisher, like Stitch Rockstar or something like Endgame. So I do like filtering that rummage with the recursion, and also getting the removal that Steel offers with Amber.
Yeah, no, I don't have any strong opinions one way or the other. I enjoy it with Amethyst and Steel as well.
Is it because there's no fish characters?
I mean, there is Pudge on Stitch Carefree Surfer, but yeah, the lack of flounder is disturbing.
All right,
least you have
Ravensburger, we
Sebastian
know
now.
you listen. Get some more fish. I mean, we've got Ariel, so there's got to be a yellow flounder. There has to.
There are fish in part of your world card inside the art there. So
Well, there goes my excuse.
I find your lack of fish disturbing.
Exactly.
All right, so let's move on to our next color, and that's going to be a fun one that we all love, because Ruby is a very explosive color. It's got a lot of really, really cool characters. It's got some really powerful tools. And although we don't have many of their cards available, I honestly think we've begun to see what Ruby wants to do. And I would love to hear what people think, especially with like the new Aladdin and the Fan the Flames and the Gaston and the Rapunzel. Like in the last week, we've really started to see the evolution of Ruby's color identity in I think, a very defining fashion.
Yeah, I think Ruby has to be my favorite ink. It has been really since the beginning. As soon as I saw the evasive keyword, I got really excited, because I just love cards like that. Even though they can be pretty scary if they aren't balanced very well. But then what made me even more excited was seeing the lore manipulation that we're seeing with Aladdin and Rapunzel, and now with the little or street rat Aladdin. Like that is, oh my gosh, I am so excited to play that. I was looking at the Fan the Flames card, which lets you ready a character. I'm like, so you're telling me that in one turn I can create like an 8 lore difference with Aladdin if I challenge twice and banish twice, or if I'm playing Mulan, I can give all of my characters on my board an extra 2 lore in one turn. Like, oh my gosh, I love the explosiveness that comes with this color. It feels like really flashy in a way. It feels really just I don't know, very pointed almost as well. Like I guess there's nothing too complex, at least yet, about about Ruby. It's like you have evasive characters and they can't be hit by things and they're trying to quest. And you have lore stealing and manipulating characters that you play, and you take your opponent's lore and make them mad. And then you just keep doing that and try to win.
Yep. Yeah, I really love Ruby for all the reasons Brandon just said, so I won't reiterate them. But I will say there are like Scar, Fiery Usurper. That card has saved me so much when playing against Steel because of that 5 strength. And I can just like take out whatever Steel card is bugging me. So it has a lot of everything Brandon just said. And then it also has some great strength cards where you can just kind of knock out, like banish your character and gain some lore. So Ruby's a very fun ink for me to play.
I will say, I'll just add this as well. If I'm playing multiplayer, I'm pretty sure Ruby's going to be one of my inks.
Has to be. Definitely. Ruby Steel right now.
Heck yes.
I think from a new player perspective, as a semi-new person to TCGs, Ruby is a really easy ink to conceptualize for new people.
That's true.
And that's probably why it's like currently one of my favorites to play. Now, I'm sure as I continue to get more like practice and all of that sort of thing that that might change. But you know, it's an easy thing to just conceptualize, like get on the board, go out there, kick butt, and then grab lore as fast as possible before, you know, some of your more strategic players that you're playing against, you know, get into the more complexities of their deck. So, yeah, that's why I think it's an easy color to introduce new people to, because it's pretty much like be aggressive, get lore in game.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And because evasive is such a safe keyword right now, because there's not a lot of other evasive cards. There's 1 Steel, 1 Sapphire, 2 Emerald, and then 1.5 with Jetsam at Amethyst. So if you run an evasive Ruby, that's just a solid win condition if you could get it right. So
it seems like a good time. I need to make a card request here. I want to see the first board wipe in Ruby.
Okay.
I think it will be in Ruby. I think that's where we see banishing characters. So if you have a quiz for the group, if you have Dragonfire, which banishes 1 character, what kind of fire is stronger than Dragonfire?
Are you testing our Disney knowledge here?
Prince Philip's Shield.
Nah, Hellfire, which is a song.
From Quasi. Yes. Okay. Not Hunchback.
Yeah, no, yeah, Hunchback. And it's a great song. And so I can, from a flavor perspective, I can see Hellfire being the board wipe. I don't know if Disney will lean into that language nowadays, but
pretty
friendly word.
But gosh, we want to
from Texas. There's a Hell, Texas. It's a place.
Hell, Michigan too. Hell,
Michigan.
Michigan.
That is true.
I love that, Liam.
I think my guess is, I'm sure everyone agrees with me, like Hunchback will probably be in 2nd or 3rd waves, because there's no more room in chapter 1 for that franchise, it feels like. So, but yeah, I would dig that card for sure. Get a Hellfire board wipe. Yeah.
Well, something fun about Ruby is it feels like a combo enabler. So we're seeing these unique combo plays of Aladdin yoinks your lore, Rapunzel yoinks your lore, Big Aladdin, Heroic Outlaw, actually gains you lore and removes lore at the same time. And we have a 3-drop line. So we have the 2 cost Aladdin and Emerald, and then we have the 3-drop Aladdin in Ruby. So he's got 2 targets to shift off of. I think we're going to see another one. But it's just like...
You think it'll be Ruby or Emerald, or you think it'll be another?
I think it'll be in Sapphire.
Okay.
With Jasmine.
That makes sense. I could see that.
Because I agree with a lot of people who speculate we're going to see a carpet in green or blue as an item.
We need carpet so bad.
I'd love to see Magic Carpet.
I think it's going to be Emerald.
Possibly.
Because we got Genie, Yago, and Emerald pairs so well with Ruby.
And we haven't seen many items, so there's got to be more to it.
I agree, but is there any items in Emerald yet? None. So carpet would be the perfect item. in
We'll
Emerald.
have to see. Fan the Flames, if they have this at a 1-drop, we're going to see some really interesting shenanigans being able to untap stuff. It's fascinating that this is an uncommon at 1.
I'm so excited.
Like here's the thing, there's going to be a character somewhere that says when you like exert this character, do something. Fan the Flames doesn't stop you from doing that, so you can use him with Ana and double tap down something with freeze. You can use it with Iago and double reckless. Like there's a nuts load of toys that Fan the Flames empowers, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be super fun to just go, hey, this exert ability I have that says, exert, draw 2 cards, ditch 1 card. Yeah, I'm going to do that twice with Fan the Flames. Haha, lol.
Oh, and by the way, you have a bodyguard out there? That's cute.
Yeah, you had a bodyguard out there. Nice bodyguard. I mean, there's so much gas with that card. And I know we don't have many Ruby cards available, but the fact that we've seen like an untapper for 1. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Like Aladdin, obviously, but I mean, with evasive packages, you could use Goofy to swing in and like 2 for 1 your opponent if they're running like 2 Pongos or a Peter Pan and a Pongo. You just go tap tap, they're off the board, and you only lost 1, but they lost 2. There's so many really neat things, and the more that comes out, the more some of these cards enable to just do really fun stuff. But I do agree. I think Ruby is the most explosive, most Timmy-esque color. You just do stuff and watch crazy things happen. It's fun. It's a very fun color. All right, moving along, we have a very, very, very unique color, and that is going to be Amethyst. This is one that we've seen a lot of cards with a lot of interesting mechanics, a lot of interesting tools. We've also got, Magic Mirror, but there's a lot of play space in here for. I feel like this is probably one of the more creative colors. So if Amber is the buddy color that supports, I think Amethyst is probably the most mechanically diverse for the deck technician to play with. If you want to do a little bit of X, a little bit of Y, you can absolutely do that with all of the toys that are hiding in this color. So what are your thoughts?
I feel like we need to defer to Jared for Amethyst first.
Speak, Jared.
Well, I mean, obviously Magic Mirror's in this color, so right behind Sapphire, this has got to be the best ink. But no, I agree. Amethyst has a lot of fun things to do. I mean, it has Mickey with brooms, which by itself, that's just a really fun thing to do when you can get it going. You have Elsa and with the Ana that was just revealed, she can combo with Elsa. I mean, there's just so many fun things you can do with this deck. I mean, for me, I was going to say Ruby was the funnest ink to play with. But now that I think about it, I think Amethyst is probably the one that I've had just the most fun to play with because it's so satisfying when you can just get stuff to work.
I have a question, though. When you can't get stuff to work, because I've had this happen with this ink, like, how do you feel about that, Jared?
Well, I mean, that's not as fun.
Okay. I mean,
that's the nature.
Elaborate.
That's the nature of playing cards, though, right? I mean, and things being randomized. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. But I think having that card draw with friends on the other side, having that card draw with Magic Mirror, helps you get through your deck to find the tools that you need to make it work.
Yeah, the hardest thing I've had with this deck is just the lack of, I would say, just strength in general. If I'm hitting,
this is true,
like against a steal, right? Like, oof, like you're spending way too many cards just to take out one of theirs. And yeah, if you combo this with an ink that helps supplement that, then you're good to go. But that's been, I would say, my hardest thing to balance when using Amethyst here. So
yeah, until Sven, we just haven't really had any big bodies in Amethyst.
Yes,
it's like they topped out at, I don't know, 4 or 5 cost.
4.
Yeah, 4. So I hope that there's big hitters yet to be revealed, because I agree. If you get anywhere past the mid game and you're relying on Amethyst, you're pretty much toast.
Yeah. At least right now. Hopefully there's more. Yeah. I agree.
I just like Amethyst from a feel perspective, a flavor perspective. Most of the art, the majority of the art is dark or it takes place at night. I think we see a heavier representation of villains in this color than we do many of the others. And even some of the heroes, like Mickey is kind of a dark sorcerer. Anna's at night. It's just a flavor. It's just a really neat color from an art and a flavor perspective. I love it.
This is probably, if I had to guess, going to be one of the higher end skill colors to play, which will very likely mean we're going to see Amethyst decks perform well at major events, because there isn't really a super clear cut line of what these cards do. So I'm not saying that. So for example, let's say this. You look at Aladdin, the 7-drop. His ability is pretty straightforward. If you banish something, you get a reward. And he's a big body, and you can shift him up early. So you want to try and set up a cheaper Aladdin to shift up to a bigger Aladdin, challenge, banish, get a reward. Amethyst is much more distinct, like Befuddle. Return a character or item with a cost 2 or less to your hand. Why would you do that? How is this beneficial? Why is this a card? But when you start to see some of the items coming out, some of the combo plays, it rewards people who have a very strong understanding of the game and finding unique ways to circumnavigate removal, board wipes, board states. Maybe you've got like a reckless on a character that you don't want to die. So, hey, you just befuddle them back. Oh, you can do reset loops. You can there's so many different combo lines. But the thing is, it's not inherently clear cut, because like Rafiki Rush, it's like, okay, I'm supposed to attack people with him, but it's like, when do you attack with him? How do you attack with? How do you use him to put pressure on the board and keep people under the threat of, hey, if I quest here, I could just lose this character to a 3-drop Rafiki. Maybe I don't do that right now. Maybe I wait just a little bit and see what happens. I also feel like this color combos really well with practically any color in the entire color pie. There's just so many different lines of play that if amber as yellow is the support color, this is kind of the glue to your rubber. It just kind of solidifies either your early game or your card draw, or if you need challengers or whatever, you can kind of spice in those cards you need to enhance that strategy so it's even stronger than it was before.
I've definitely found a trend when playing against Amethyst players that, other than obviously inks that have hard removal, like Dragonfire or Let It Go, Amethyst is the ink that I catch myself having to kind of make bets along the way, because I'm just constantly like, do they have Rafiki in hand? Do they have Zeus in hand? Do I need to banish this magic broom right now, or are they going to drop a Mickey next turn? There's just so much that Amethyst can do, and like even something as simple as having Pocket Watch out on the board, like, just makes you question everything. I think it's definitely an ink that like just really makes your opponent like use more brain power than they need to against every other deck.
All right, so while we've got the whole team here, let's ask a really legitimate question. What's the deal with the magic mirror?
You guys are drinking Kool-Aid. That's all I know.
What's the deal between Jared and BSquared? I never understood this. It's just been like, there's a thing happening over there. What is that thing happening?
I'll be honest, I don't know how it started. Somebody started promoting Magic Mirror, and I thought it was hilarious, so I jumped on the bandwagon.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember how it started. I think at one point people were discussing Magic Mirror, and some people thought it was like, this was back when we had, I don't know how many cards.
10 cards.
Yeah, like when Magic Mirror was around. And like some people at the time genuinely thought it was a good card. They're like, you can draw an infinite. Oh, I remember what it was. We were debating Friends on the Other Side versus Magic Mirror. And they're like, with Magic Mirror, you can draw an infinite amount of times. And I'm just like, too bad the game's over by the time you can draw a card. And so I was being pretty playful about it, but I like to get dramatic when it comes to opinions. And I think a lot of people took that as me just like really disliking Magic Mirror. And Jared just likes to poke me anytime he can. So
I do like to feel the fire. It's true.
Yeah. So he just jumped on that bandwagon to get me even more fired up.
I know there are two things that will get to Brandon. Number one, talking about Magic Mirror. Number two, suggesting that Olive Garden is a good restaurant.
This isn't the podcast, Jared.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Are you saying Olive Garden is not a good restaurant, or Olive Garden is a good restaurant?
No, it's horrible. Sorry.
Olive Garden, very enthusiastic.
Olive Garden, if you'd love to sponsor me, I'll.
That ain't happening now, buddy.
Still sing a different tune.
This is blackmail. That's what this is.
That bridge has been burned. No, I'm sorry.
So, but they've got unlimited soup and salad.
Breadsticks. Don't forget the breadsticks.
I'd rather just go to an actual Italian restaurant and pay just as much money and eat better food. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't have access to that. Where do you live? Where can I get this legitimate Italian food?
I live in Louisiana.
Italy.
That's a little more out of my price range right now there, Liam. As much as I want to.
All I have to say is their breadsticks are delicious and their Alfredo. Like, okay, I know when I go there, I'm not getting authentic Italian food. I know what I'm getting when I go there. But their Alfredo sauce, so good.
Oh, yeah. It is good. It's got that garlic tang. I'm right there with you, Jared.
High five.
Right. Used to make their Alfredo sauce from scratch. Like he had the recipe.
Don't want to know what's in it.
And I was about to say, it will solve your craving for that sauce when you see what goes into it.
It's okay. I eat hot dogs. I'm cool. I eat hot dogs and chicken nuggets at McDonald's. I'm not afraid of your knowledge you claim. But all right, so let's actually have a legitimate conversation here about Magic Mirror. Do you think it's a good card now that we've started to see a little more than half of the set? Because when we first started, yeah, it looked like trash, like 4 for a card. That's pretty rough in any card game economy. That's a very big ask to drop 6 mana for +1. Now that we're seeing the draw is really limited, and there's still a good 80 plus cards to go. But I think we can all agree there's not a lot of draw here. There's, digging, there's filtering, but there's not a lot of just pure pay a cost +1 to your hand. Is Magic Mirror going up in the ranks for you in your deck assessment of cards?
I'll say Magic Mirror used to sit like as the worst card for me in the set. And it's definitely risen from that. I kind of meme a lot when I just talk about how bad Magic Mirror is, but like realistically, it's not the worst card, especially the more that the game slows down. So seeing cards like Giant Tink, seeing cards like Grab Your Sword, things that are like really slowing this game down a lot. I'm not going to call this person out, but anybody in the HQ is going to know who I'm talking about. I've watched Turkey play a couple games that with like way more control decks and use Magic Mirror actually really effectively. And I've even messaged him and I'm like, you're one of the few people that has made me go, okay, Magic Mirror actually isn't a horrible card. Just because I can see how well it can be used in those long drawn out games. I still think that unless you're playing a slower deck and like the goal of your deck is to be slow and be control-y and you're not in a rush to win, unless your deck is that way, I think there are still better draw options in Amethyst for like other stuff that you can do. And I get more excited to see cards, especially in Amber, where there's like, be our guest, you draw 4 cards and pick a character. The new Ariel, you draw 4 cards and look for a song. Like even though it's not directly draw a card, I really like seeing the just like digging through your deck and trying to find stuff, cards as well. So like Sugi said, we still have a bunch of the cards to be revealed. And so I don't love giving a like super, this is a bad card until we see the rest of it. But it's definitely going up in the ranking. Like it's slowly getting less and less worse than it previously was in my book.
Jared, we need the STONKS meme for the video podcast version where I can just slap it up and it's like STONKS, and you got the little flounder face on the dude.
I can make that happen.
Okay, I really need that so I can actually do that. So people listening are like, what the heck is he talking about? I'm just gonna have like the air horn from like the DJ like STONKS.
I will say, I'll echo what Brandon says. The longer the game gets, which we've seen happen, the more valuable Mirror becomes.
All right, so we have come to an agreement on this topic that was quite divisive, no longer divisive, thanks to our sponsor, Olive Garden, and their homemade breadsticks and super delicious, but should not be told to the general public, Marsala mix. Wait, no, something else. Anyways, let's talk about a really fun color now. This is my personal favorite. Emerald. And it's emerald. It's the control color. I don't think there's too much to say about emerald right now. One, because there's 12 cards available, but I think that a good 3 of these cards are pretty impactful on the pacing of what Emerald wants to do and the identity of Emerald, especially once we start seeing more. I genuinely think I'm totally biased here. I'll admit that right up front, but I generally think Emerald will 100% be the color that has the most impact on how players play and interact amongst themselves, because they always have to wonder what in the blank is about to happen here, because there's just so many crazy abilities slapped onto these characters that are not necessarily game breaking, but they are, I believe, 100% game changing. Like, you have to respect that the moment 6 ink is on the table, a genie could happen at any time, or even a Lady Tremaine if you're doing a recursion deck with songs. There's so many points, kind of like Amethyst, like when Brandon was talking, you have to wonder, do they have A, do they have B? When you're playing when you're playing against Emerald, they have it. You just have to wonder, when is it going to hit the field?
Yeah, I am super excited to see the rest of these Emerald cards. Emerald has been my favorite ink since, I don't know, they revealed like a couple of them way back in the day, and everyone's like, Emerald sucks. And I'm like, you just you wait. Emerald's going to have its heyday. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I feel like there might be a new keyword hidden in here coming. I don't know. I absolutely love Emerald. I love how it plays. I love playing with it. It's probably going to be one of my go-to inks just forever. So yeah, all hail Emerald.
Yep. Emerald team Emerald ink. Woo.
I'll echo that. I really enjoy playing Emerald just for the fact that it's unpredictable. You lay a Cheshire Cat down, and I know a lot of people put Cheshire Cat down for reasons, but if you put a Cheshire Cat down, your opponent has to decide if they want to take care of that with something like Smash, or if they just want to sacrifice, one of their characters, whether that's doing a 2-for-1, which if they do, it's preventing 2 of their characters from questing for a turn, or if they are just content letting you draw 2 or gain 2 lore each time that cat quest. So for the fact that it's unpredictable, and I will say this too, I hate running into that genie loop. When somebody slaps down like 3 genies in a row, that is like the worst thing in the world.
It feels great. Feels super good.
Well, it feels good when you're the one doing it, but not when you're the one having it done too.
Okay. That makes more sense. It's like when you go to Olive Garden, you just don't get the food that you really wanted.
Oh my gosh.
Like every time you go to Olive Garden.
100% disappointment. Like Taco Bell. You know it's an authentic Mexican, but you're going to eat it anyways.
Oh, Taco Bell. I can't even. Nope.
Genuine authentic.
Yeah, super hyper authentic American food.
Did we just compare Genie to Taco Bell? Is that
No. We compared Olive Garden to Taco Bell. So something I actually think Emerald is going to do in the Lorcana ecosystem is, I think it's going to challenge players to reconsider what they thought they knew about the game. Because whenever metas start forming, traditionally aggro becomes the most dominant thing, because it's generally, no offense to anyone, the simplest. It's a very, very straightforward deck. So in Magic the Gathering, players have 20 life. So there was a deck called Red Deck Wins, which basically had the highest damage potential with the lowest cost cards. So all you did was play land, play burn spells, play these creatures that had like 3 attack, 1 defense, and you just attack the opponent as much as you can, as fast as you can, with everything you can. And if they survived the initial onslaught, then you would lose because you run out of gas. However, because your deck was so incredibly efficient, you generally won games because they couldn't stop just so much aggression. So Lorcana should probably be the same way. We're going to see a lot of lore rush aggro decks that have a lot of characters that cost very little with 2 pips of lore. You're going to do the classic slap it and tap it. You just quest as fast as you can, as quickly as you can. And most people play it, and just because of metrics, those decks will rise to the top out of popularity. Then, over a period of time, you'll start to see mid-range decks and control decks take form because those are a little bit more complex to build, to test, to figure out how they work. So Emerald, I think, is going to be one of the slower colors to get developed in terms of a metagame. But the moment we start seeing like very good Emerald decks, people are going to have to go back to the lab and go, okay, this deck I built for week 1
Does not work.
Not work at all. What do I do to stop these control decks or these mid-range decks? And that gets me really excited because that means there's going to be this constant evolution of player expression, decks being built, deck techs, just this wide variety. And Lorcana will very unlikely be a stale style of game. There's going to be a wide range of, okay, here's like the meta for the first month, and here's the meta for the second month, and then here's the meta for the third month, and then boom, here's a new set. Rinse, wash, repeat. There's going to be a constant influx of new things to express, new things to test, and that's just cool. I think Emerald will be one of the progenitors of the evolution of the metagame.
Agreed.
Yeah, well said.
Shall we do the last color?
We're going to the last color, and I saved steel for the last, not necessarily because it's the best, but for one, we have the most cards here, so we can really, really talk about this color. I also believe this is probably going to be one of the most popular colors across the board, mostly because there are some beloved characters and franchises in this thing, and whether you like the color or not, there's Lion King, Moana, Frozen, Beauty and the Beast, Peter Pan, like Hercules, Lilo and Stitch. There's just such a range of cool things that this is probably going to be the most, in my opinion, player beloved color.
I could see that. That's a good argument.
I love it because of all the removal. That's I mean, fire the cannons, you got Smash, you got Captain Hook, Captain of the Jolly Roger with the recursion, you've got Giant Tinkerbell, you've got Grab Your Swords, and where I said I enjoy playing Sapphire, it's nice to have a color like ink that allows you to catch up.
Oh, that's an understatement. You don't catch up. You pull the spiked bat out of your backpack and go, all right, kids, let's fight. It's time to duel.
You wanted us to keep this PG, right? Just teasing.
I mean, maybe. Look, there is a literal card called Frying Pan, and you know what happens to that poor Flynn Rider's face when he gets whacked with that sucker. That is a weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah, it's funny. You know what is funny about Steel? I think Steel is going to be super popular as well. I think part of it is because Steel feels like the odd color out, and it has since the beginning, because we have all these gemstones and then we have Steel. We have all these colors and then we have gray. I'm reminded of Pokemon Go when it came out, and there were 3 teams you could pick, and red and blue are very popular colors, obviously. And when you looked at player representation across these different teams, everybody picked red or blue. And then there was yellow. And occasionally you ran into a yellow player. It was like, and you got super excited because you're like, oh, you're Team Instinct. I'm Team Instinct. And it was So I think Steel is like the Team Instinct of Lorcana, not in terms of popularity, but it feels like the unloved color. And so everybody's going to feel like a rebel choosing it as their favorite, even though it's one of the most popular. And then also from a scientific perspective, I mean, Sugi, you know that we did a poll fan poll a couple
I
weeks
heard
ago.
about this. Allegedly.
Allegedly. 192 Lorcana fans from various social media platforms voted. 192, and 68% of them put Tinkerbell as their favorite card.
And then we interviewed 2 Lorcana content creators, and they just chose the entire list.
Yeah, but so I think Steel. I agree with you. I think Steel will be popular.
Hot take. Steel has some of the best and the worst art in the entire game.
What do you think is the worst? Beast Mirror?
Okay, I'm looking at Cerberus, this 3-dimensional dog. I don't know about that.
What is wrong with
Maui's-
Cerberus? I love that card.
No, I love the card. I'm talking about the
No,
art.
I love the art too.
These 2 of these dogs look like they're about to pass gas, man. I'm not loving that. Maui looks like he's constipated. What's up with that?
I love
frying
the Cerberus
pan.
card.
It's a pan. I use these to cook eggs. I don't know if I want art of frying pans.
The
Kronk.
beautiful cast iron.
Kronk's face. I can't tell if he's evil or not. He's like, I can't tell if he's holding in a secret or about to let out some kind of noise.
When I saw that art, I thought it was Floodborn because you never see Kronk like that in the movie.
No, he's always like happy, smiling. This is
Yeah.
like, I've got a secret to tell you.
that did throw me a little bit. But Cerberus, I freaking love that art.
But then like Tinkerbell art, like triple S tier, so cool.
So good.
Hercules, he's wearing like literally wearing Scar. Like, come on. If someone plays a Scar, I wish he had an ability that's just like automatically kills all scars on the table. Yeah, like no.
Destroy all scars.
I really like the Kristoff art. I think it's pretty cool. It's very oh shoot, who's that painter that does all the Disney? He looks like a Stephen Kincaid.
Mhm.
It's like a
Thomas
Thomas.
Kincaid.
I'm sorry, yeah, you're right.
Thomas.
It looks like a Thomas.
Even his
Kincaid
lesser known
piece.
brother, who
Yeah, Stephen Kincaid. Whoopsie. Yeah, it's just like some of this. Oh, I mean, and then of course, Future King Simba, like perfect.
So good.
Absolutely,
That
perfect.
one is probably
don't forget
one of my favorite cards.
Forceful Duelist too.
Yes. I love the
Very cool. Yeah.
I love the art, a lot of the art in Steel, because I actually find that the like gray kind of gloomy outline, I guess, of the ink just like really makes all the colors pop. Like the artists that have made these, like Captain Hook, Forceful Duelist is still one of my favorite
So
arts just because of like, I mean, it is so, I don't know, just the way that the lantern lights up like part of the cards and the way the lighting and the shadows and everything is done on that card is just so good. And I feel like that with a lot of the different Steel cards. I just think, I don't know, I guess the blandness of Steel really makes those things pop.
So where do we think Steel synergizes best? There's a lot of tools. There's a lot of removal. There's some incredible, if not the best, mid to like late game characters in any color, but that doesn't mean it just automatically wins games by itself. So where do you feel Steel pairs up the best?
It honestly pairs up so well with so many colors. It's a very versatile ink. I mean, just because I said I'm a Sapphire player, I really enjoy how it pairs up with that, but it also pairs up really nicely with Amethyst, getting that card draw through Amethyst. For me, those are probably the top 2 pairings.
Yeah, I agree with Sapphire. Just because, as I mentioned earlier, like Sapphire can play a little weak at the beginning, but again, if you can get that Steel going, then like you're pretty set and safe. So Sapphire is one of my favorite ways to pair it.
It is a good one. I think the mechanic, that I love in Steel as well, other than the removal, is that rummage ability. Because it pairs well with card draw. It allows you to filter. Look at the top 2 cards, pick one, put one in the bottom, or draw 2 cards, discard one. You can pair it with card draw to kind of put the card you want on top of your deck, or it pairs well with recursion, where you're putting things in your graveyard you want to draw. So it has this utility draw mechanic to it, as well as the removal.
I think Steel pairs pretty well with any ink that has a pretty efficient like questing ability, like characters that can quest for a decent amount. Mainly because you just have access to all that removal. You also have the bodyguards to protect them while they quest. Kind of like Liam said, the filtering is really nice so that you can like find the cards that you're really looking for. Steel doesn't have like great questers generally because some of their characters have challenge, or they're just like big beefy guys with like pretty okay stats to help clear the board. So yeah, really anything. I'm thinking mainly like Sapphire that's been mentioned. Ruby is good. I think it also lends well to like, I don't know. I find steel to be, you can probably throw steel into pretty much any color combination right now just because of the cards we have. But I know that Emerald Steel is another popular one, but that's like much, much more control-y. But like, you can do that with steel. You have the cards for it. So
Yeah, it probably will be, I think, the most paired color and the most commonly run color. The other thing we haven't mentioned yet is the item removal, which we see in steel and I think nowhere else. Break is a utility card, which is, if you don't need it, you ink it. But if you hit, if you run into an item synergy deck in Sapphire, or if they have one or two items like Magic Mirror, which is just going off and you need to get rid of it, having break is going to be useful, or beast. So I think we'll see it probably the most in the initial meta.
I hope we have sideboards in this game, because break is like such a great tech card, but you don't necessarily want to main deck it if you don't know what you're going up against. So we'll have to wait and see. Okay. All right. Well, now that we've talked about all of the 6 colors, I want to pose this to the table. What are your favorite 2 colors? And we're not talking about power level. We're not talking about metagaming. It's just, hey, let's pretend the entire set has come out. It's, 3 months later, we've been able to play as much as we want, and we're going to have just a hangout where we get some pizza, some soda, and play a 5-player game of Lorcana for fun. What colors would you bring, and why?
My play style is come in and smash things. So I've been playing a lot of steel and ruby decks right now, which is just break things until hopefully you get enough lore. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at right now, and I'm enjoying it.
I was going to say, if we're playing multiplayer, I'm definitely going steel ruby as well. If we're doing one-on-one, I would probably, no surprise if you've been listening, steel sapphire.
Yeah, if we were doing just fun minus multiplayer, I'd probably do Emerald Steel. Number one, just because I love Lion King, so I love playing all the Simba cards, and then Emerald's just my favorite ink. So if we're just going by faves, I would totally bring those colors. But as Jared said, if we are playing multiplayer, 1,000% Ruby Steel, I would run.
I'll say, I think for me, it's, I would take a different tack and say it's less about gameplay. It's more about flavor and feel. I love Amber and I love Amethyst. It's where you see the flavor and the ink identity most coherently. It's where you see the ink identity reflected in the art, and it just has characters that I love. Those are my 2 favorite colors, and I hope I can run them together and be effective.
I think so. The first ink that came to mind was ruby, just because I've loved that color since the beginning. And then I think the second one would be amber. I mean, it's just got my favorite blue little alien in there, and I think there's a lot of fun things that you can do in amber. It's all about like team building isn't the right word, but I forget how they worded it on the website, but sort of like you and all your buddies doing stuff. And so that would probably be mine. Ruby amber.
Very cool. Mine would be no surprise, green and yellow. So I would love to be the most disruptive and political player on the board, where, hey, I'll bounce your thing if you don't do what I tell you to do, or I'm going to give that thing reckless over there, or I can just dig or sing songs for free using my singers. I've got a little bit of evasive. I mean, who knows? There's so many different lines of play, and maybe a little recursion. There's Kitty Cat. Love that guy. You got to just deal with me, especially with like Cruella de Vil. Oh man, early game, I could just quest, and if you swing into her, like, what do I not want on this board? That's just such a fun card to mess with people, set them back a little bit on tempo. So yeah, I think yellow green is probably the most political color combination for multiplayer, and it's just a really good deck in single player, like 1v1 exhibition matches. You've got the tools, you just have to get to them in the proper sequencing. All right, so before we get on out of here, let's wrap this up with a fun last little doodad about Lorcana. And let's talk about the cards that have come out over the last couple weeks. What are your favorites? Let's just start off right at the top with the Illumiteers. So we've got, like 20 cards in like the last week and a half. What have you been jamming on? Which one is your favorite and why?
So I'm really loving the new Amber cards that are coming out. I mean, when cards come out, my favorite thing to do is just to dive into the art. And so, as we've talked about a lot, Amber embracing its ink identity the most. That's really been for me what I've loved watching in the last couple of weeks. So that's Sebastian, Ariel, and Lilo specifically. I've loved seeing those.
Yeah, again, I'll take a different tack from gameplay. I know people are going to talk about how these cards work, but from a flavor perspective, I was excited when Anna showed up. I've been waiting for her since we saw Elsa almost a year ago. And from a flavor perspective, I love how she works with her sister to lock down the board. And both of these sisters work better together, and the art is just delightful. So I think out of all the cards that I saw, the one where I got the biggest adrenaline rush and excitement was seeing Anna finally make it to the game.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things in the last couple of weeks was seeing that new keyword singer. I think every time we see like a new development in Lorcana, it just makes me more and more excited for the game. So just seeing this new keyword, I'm really excited to see what other keywords may be happening. So and the Ariel card was just so spectacular to see that she can, count as a 5 cost to sing. So
for me, it's got to be Giant Tinkerbell, Giant Fairy, and Grab Your Swords. It's so nice to have something to wipe out those Stitch Rockstar decks. But more seriously, it is nice to have that board removal.
I really liked seeing the Street Rat Aladdin to see more lore manipulation, and I really liked seeing Ursula's shell necklace with the drawing cards from singing cards. And I kind of like Stephanie said, I was excited to see another keyword. Hopefully we have maybe 1 or 2 more left, because the more cards we see, the more specific interactions and abilities, the more excited I get about this game.
All right. Well, that was a blast. Thank you to everyone who is here with us listening or watching this episode of LorcanaCast. Make sure to follow Citizens of Lorcana, the Illumiteers, BSquared, and Lorcana Illumineers for all kinds of amazing Lorcana content. And make sure to keep following us and subscribe if you haven't already on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And remember, everybody, Ohana means family, which means nobody gets left behind, nobody gets forgotten.
The squeaky wheels always getting the grease. I'm so